Hey folks, hope you're all having a lovely start to the weekend. It's Friday night here, 8 PM Central, and we're about to start. Now, earlier we were having a look at Monster AI, and I checked out, I did a little bit of investigation, and it would appear that our portal point has to be on the nav mesh directly. I haven't tested this point yet, but hey legend, how you doing, bud? And yes, I stream twice a day every day, 2 PM and 8 PM Central. Right, so what we've done is with our portal we have set the location on the Z0, which should be on the nav mesh, which means that with any luck it's going to work. Now I can't guarantee that fact, and the strange thing is, right, there's a strange thing going on here, right, that looks to me like somehow the player start has been knocked to the side, right? Because if you look at this, it looks to me like it's off. Right, see how I'm standing a bit to the side? There's something weird about that. That would suggest that my character is slightly off, which I have not noticed up until this point, that's for sure. Let me just check on that a second. You see this here? That camera is absolutely actually, the camera should be on 0, 0. Right, I'm not going to change that for now though. I'll do that at a later date, but in the meantime let's try it out. Right, and we're going to press go. We're going to turn the sound down a bit because that was a bit loud. And we should now see our monster passing by at some stage. Now, if you remember, the monster stopped kind of 45 degrees up to the left, northwest, at that part that sort of goes left, right, left, right. Okay, so we're going to be trying, there he goes. And he's done it again. So whatever that was, that ain't it. Unless right, we're gonna have to keep an eye on this. Right, so we're gonna need to see this portal location. Right, and we're going to tab that, and that's fine, and that is the correct portal position, right? Now we're going to try a couple of things here. And I don't know why also it keeps picking the same one. There he goes. Right, and that's it stopped, and he's not even here this time. I don't even know where the monster is at this point. Right, but if we change this to demon, he's at -9. And then that. Right. And he's just going to wait now. Now he's stopped, because that did a check where the player is. Right, okay. So we're not changing this. Right, so we need to check on this one. And on this one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the acceptable radius to 0. Okay, now the strange thing is, he finds the player, no problem. Okay. And the only thing that I've got to do here okay, we'll start running that again, right? I'm still a bit freaked by this. Right, so it's up there, right? So we should see him now moving. Off he goes. Then he goes around there. Then he goes up there. And at this point, that's good. Right, that's good. Right, he hasn't. Right, so it only stopped when it was in the middle. Okay. So that was absolutely perfect. So I can only assume right, that's the one that he just went to. Okay. and that's the one on the left hand side. So we're talking about, that's at minus 50. And that's at minus 50. Is this the issue? Is target point 1 at 0? It is at 0. Is that the problem? I've got to think it is. Right. So there is our dude. Okay, let's see when he wanders past. Is he going to wander past? There he goes. But no. He did not find the right point again. Okay. Now, the only thing I can think of here is let's move target 1 point over to here. Now, what I've got to think here is there's some weird glitch going on regarding the target point. Okay, so if I copy that, then go to target point 2, right, that means that basically all of our target points are in the same place, right? So our 3 target points are there. Okay. That probably wasn't actually such a good idea because I don't know which one is which now. In fact, it'd probably be best deleting 2 of them. Right? Deleting 2 of them. And then yeah, what it's doing here is delete 2 and then move the target point 1 around to see where it goes and if it can find places or not. I have got another, there he goes, and that's it stopped, right? Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to delete target point 2 and 3, right? Because we knew target point was working, and I think I've got another idea of why this is not working, right? Right, so okay. I think I've got an idea, guys. I think I know why this isn't working. And the reason I think it isn't working is because it isn't allowing dynamic pathfinding, which is in the project settings, but I'm going to need to check that out to see what it's set to. It's either that or something is blocking it. Right? There's something that's affecting the nav mesh. Right? Now target 1 is stopping there. So that means that either A, it can't get there, or there's one more thing. Right? But we proved it wasn't that, because when we went to the other place, it was finding it fine. Okay? So that idea is out the window. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check our project settings. I'm going to go to navigation. Right. Is it in system? That's not it. Right. Now there should be where is it? Alright, so it's not display. Is it because he has to go through a door? I don't think so, because then it would just stall. Right, where's the dynamic? Where is dynamic? Drawings, didn't I? Generation, didn't I? Can be nav data. Where is the dynamic nav mesh? Draw nav mesh edges. AI system. Right, hang on a second here. Have I actually moved out the nav mesh bounds here? And that's the problem. Don't think so. Doesn't look as if I have. Right, I'll tell you what. This is our nav point, okay? Now, we've definitely got a road there. Okay, that looks okay. I guess what I'm going to have to do here is we're going to have to make the ceilings not visible. Right. Target point's down in this corner, right? So what happens is there something stopping us going down here? I don't think so, because I've went down here myself, right? I can get to here. And that looks okay. Now there's an interesting one. So, like, okay, I've got an idea. Layout door. Okay, let's have a look at this. Right, this static mesh door. Right, we're looking for can affect navigation. Can ever affect navigation. Right, we're going to say no. Right. Now, that might just be for one door. Right, now there is a way through that door, obviously now. But there's not a way through that door. Okay, so let's take that back right? And what we're going to have to do is, this is the BP layout door, right? So yes, this is not going to affect nav mesh, right? And that door arch is a bit big. I'm just wondering if this door's not quite big enough. Right? Now the point being that when we go through a door, you'll notice there's nothing right. This is the door arch and the door, and if we look at collision, oh, I don't believe this. I think we're going to have to go through every single door and set it manually because it isn't setting it in here. Not that there's an absolute crap ton of doors, but oh, it's door. Right, that says no. That says no. That says no. And that says no. So I'm going to guess here that all of those are now basically you can move through them. Now I'm going to have to do the same with door end. Right, because these will be exactly the same. Right, you'll see can ever affect navigation. Right, now I'm going to do a quick, just give me 2 seconds guys, I'm going to do a quick find out where this setting is. It's runtime generation. Okay. This is it here. Dynamic. God damn it. I'm just wondering if this is going to actually hit performance. If it doesn't hit performance, then we're not going to worry about it. We're never going to have that many monsters in the level anyway, so I think it's going to be fine. Now it calculated everything there, and with all those doors open, right, let's see, shall we? Is the monster going to wander past at any point here? Here he comes. He's coming for the top. And that's what the problem was. The doors were causing a problem. And there we go. What about that one, guys, eh? It was all a door. It was all a door. Right, but what we're going to do here is he's never going to get there, because this service is going to basically swing him around and actually get him to go to the player. Right, so he might actually just go straight to the player. No, he's not. He's not going to go straight to the player. Right, but what he is going to do is he's going to start going to the portal, but he's not going to get there, but we'll see it on the map, and then suddenly he'll change direction and start heading for me instead. Right, that is what I hope happens, because that's what I've told it to happen. So it's going to start there, and then at some point it's going to swap over to the player location. Where is he? Here he comes. It's not going out of there. It's not jumping out. Of here. Right. So this was working. So we're going to say self, save that, hi Okere, how you doing? Right, so hopefully this time right, so we've basically got it so that our dude is going to move. He's moving to the player. Right. And He is a bit close, but we're not going to worry about that for now. What I'm worried about is the fact that this is not jumping out of here. We'll try it on value change. Because at some point the monster is going to jump across from one to the other, from move to player to move to portal, right? And strangely, so at the moment everything's false, okay? At the moment when we run this service, everything is false. Right, which means that the distance to the player is less than the distance to the portal. Right, so something's not getting set here, or the service is not running all the time, or I've set the service up wrong or something. Right, because let's see what this. Let's see if we've got an image. I'm checking Google here for an image of a service. Okay, I know what it is now. This should not be event receive activation. This should actually be event receive tick. Or should it be yeah, we want that. And the control pawn is going to go in there. Now, I'm guessing this isn't actually on tick, right? I'm guessing this is only running every 2 seconds, but we can check that out. Right, because we can do a print string. As I said, when I made this last night, I did say that I'm a bit rusty, especially on services, because I hadn't used them extensively. I knew what they were, but I was nearly right. It was just this wrong thing here, which is understandable. So when we hit the button, we're only expecting this hello every 2 seconds, right? If it happens more than 2 seconds, we don't like it. So we're going to have to see what happens here. Right, that's okay. Right, so it's only running once every 2 seconds, so I'm happy with that. I was worried that that was going to run more often, and then only like, well, I don't know what I was thinking actually. Right, but there we go. Problem solved. Well, 2 problems solved. Now, what we should actually see here is something quite funny, right? What we should see is the monster basically running back and forward towards the portal, and then back to the player, then back to the portal, back to the player, because basically when he's further away from the portal, he'll move to the player, and if he's further away from the player, he'll move to the portal, right? He'll retarget, basically. Right, so if we hit O, then we tab it, right? And we should now see him wherever way he goes. He's never going to complete his task either. And in fact, he's going to get very stuck very quickly, right? Because basically he's going to swap, and yeah, every 2 seconds he's going to swap back again. See that? He's going to move, then he's going to move to here, then he's going to move to here, etc, etc. Which is kind of okay. Right, I don't know why it's gone back into screaming. We're basically jumping out too far. Right? We'll have to have a little check of this. Right. So if you're enjoying the stream, hit like and subscribe. I'm going to have a quick break for 2 minutes, grab a cigarette and a drink, and we'll be back after that. So check out the description for Discord and ways to support the channel through Patreon, which will give you access to early buildings in early builds of the game, which are going to be starting probably this weekend, and also my previous game on Steam. And adding that to your wish list helps and costs you nothing. I shall be back in a second. Okay, folks, we're back, and I'm just going to grab a quick drink of my orange juice. I can assure you it won't be orange juice later. And this is now working. We do need to do something with it, but at least we have solved our navigation problems and our service issue, right? So actually we hadn't, had we, because they were jumping back to Scream. Right, so we're gonna have to check this, that we don't jump back to Scream. Right, this doesn't jump out of anything. That screaming thing isn't actually such a bad idea, to be honest, but I'm still not entirely happy with it jumping all the way back to there. I prefer it just to jump back to here, right, which would be to 33. Right, so what we'll do is we'll zoom out a little bit on this. As I said, that actually screaming ain't such a bad thing, but it's not the expected behaviour. Right? And it's not going to jump out of this until he actually changes task. So if it jumps back to set to scream, that's bad, right? If it doesn't, that's good. Right, now you should be nearly at the point where he's jumping between the two, which, if that is the correct answer, which it apparently isn't, well, that's not quite right, that's for sure. Right, we're going to do both. And both. And there's the, I'm going to have to drag these closer together so I can actually see what's going on. Alright, so press play. Press O. and we got the player location, then we moved to the portal location. Now let's see if it changes. Right, our dude's moving to the portal. Right, now he's moving to the player, moving to the portal, moving to the player, moving to the portal. That's what we want, right? Or that's the logic we expect right now. Yep. That's exactly the behavior that we actually expect at this point. Right? And I'll show you what I mean. He's gradually, what he's doing is moving here, and then he's moving back as he gets closer to the player and closer to the portal. It's swapping over, which is kind of what we want, and kind of what the behavior is telling it to do. It's obviously not ideal at this point, but at least we know that this part of the tree is working as planned, right? Now, here is where right, here's the interesting thing. I think what we actually want to do here, right, is basically duplicate this, right? So when the monster actually goes here, and probably what we want to do is change this to a task. Or like a service that runs once. Right? Or fundamentally, change it back to what we had. Right? Which was basically this one. Right, so it was receive activation, right? And the point being here that if it goes to there, it picks either the player location or the portal, right? Now the player's going to be heading for the portal, right? So that's okay, and then as soon as it finds the portal, it changes to chasing, which basically sets it back to the player location, right? So that kind of makes sense. And now what we can do is if we go back to our tree and we do move to the portal location, right, we can set the acceptable radius to be like, let's say 250, right? And now if we press play, press O, right, it's going to go to the portal as before, but this time once it gets to the portal, it's going to then start looking for me, and it's going to get to a 250 radius, which we'll be able to see on the map here when it gets there. Right, here he comes. And $250 seems to be too low a number. I'm guessing, I'm a bit silly. Right, so that should be there. Right, so our number is way too low, right? So we could basically say about, let's say 2000, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the mini map a bit bigger for you guys so you can actually see what's happening, because probably I can see what's happening, but you guys probably can't. So I'm going to change this for you guys. Right, I'm going to move it a bit closer in, and hopefully you'll be able to see it a bit better. Right, and I'll basically change it until we've got a good view, right? And you guys can see better what's going on, right? So if I hit that button there, can you guys see that? Let me know if you can see that okay. Probably a little bit bigger in fact. Right, well that's what I'll do for you guys. Don't say I'm not good to you. Right, so we'll bring it down to 5K. Save that. And then we'll have a look at this error to see what it is. Nothing. Right. So I'll explain what we're expecting to see. Right. So what we're going to see is the monster come in for the top, right? And then once he gets to a certain point, he's then going to turn. He's going to stop for 2.8 seconds when he screams, and then he's going to move off to chase our player, right? So as I said, we should see him coming in from the top of the minimap, hopefully. There he comes, and there he goes, right? So now we should actually see him coming for the player. And then it should all be great. And here he comes. And he'll grab me, pick me up, and throw me down. Right, that is exactly what we want. And now, what I'm going to do is we're going to get a HUD, we're going to create a widget, right? And what we're going to do is, this is a little bit of a, don't know if this is a good idea or not yet, and this might not affect gameplay, but it might only affect the score, right? And we're going to wrap this with a canvas panel, and then we're going to anchor it to the top right. We're going to zero that, then we're going to exit probably to 2, and then what we're going to do is we're going to add a text, and this angle we're going to have it at a 45 degree, and that's fine for that, and we're going to do that. Then we're going to size it to content, and then in our text block we're going to say 0, 0 and 0, 0. Then we're going to do our wolf moon, okay, right, and we're going to move this over here a bit, and up a bit, and what we're going to do here is we're going to say 45, right, and our text color is going to be a rather obvious red. Okay, now what we're actually going to do here is we're going to do this counter as a timer, right? but we ain't going to set the timer to a specific number. What we're going to do is we're going to measure the distance from the player to the portal and then calculate a value from there. Okay? And then we'll fill this in. Okay? So in here, what we're going to do is go to our graph, right, and we'll add a variable and we'll call it starting time. Right, and that's going to be a float, right? In fact, you know what we're going to do? What we're going to do is we might put this on a tick. No, what? Yeah, no. What we're going to do is we're going to actually, you know what we're going to do? We're probably going to split this up into 3 different variables, right? But what we're going to have is that so that it counts down faster, right? So, or at least it looks like it counts down faster. Okay? So this is going to be counting in tenths of seconds, right? And the starting time, we're going to save that, right? And what we'll do is we'll default it to, let's say, 65 seconds, right? And then we shall set timer by function name, right? And we'll do 0.1 looping, right? And then basically what we'll do is we'll just count down from 9 to 0. We aren't going to store this number, but this is just going to be for display purposes, right? But we'll count, right? What I mean by that is, right, this digit here is just going to be for the purposes of going really fast, so that the player is getting an adrenaline rush, right? Whereas the ones that we're going to calculate are going to be the minutes and seconds, right? This is the seconds. Now we could actually just do this as seconds, now that we've got this, right? So what we could do is basically that. right? Then this digit is basically just for the display purpose, and the three other ones are the value for the actual amount of seconds, right? So with that in mind, we're going to have to move this canvas panel again. That'll do there, right? Then we're going to do custom event, and we'll just call it tenths. Okay, we'll add another variable, and that's going to be integer. Okay, and then we're basically going to do this one. We're going to get it, right? And we're going to say if it's less than right, that's not going to be a float. We're going to do an integer. So when we've got this integer, we're just going to basically clamp, well, we don't even need to clamp it, to be honest, right? All we need to do is decrement it, right? And then if it's less than less than 0, okay, then we basically set it. We set it to 9. Obviously we've got to put a branch in here. Getting late, guys, my brain's beginning to slow down. Now I'm having to think about putting a branch in here. Right, so if that's that, we set that to 9. Right, and then we go back to our designer. And we don't actually, right, we want to duplicate that. And I suppose we want to duplicate it again. Right. And then these three, can we wrap with a horizontal box? And that is going to be 0. And that is just going to be that thing there. and that is going to be a 0 as well, right? Okay. We'll save that. Then we're going to go to the graph. So that's going to take care of our tenths, right? Now what we need to do here is we're going to have to turn that into a variable. That's going to be txt tenths. Okay. Then this one's going to have to be turned into a variable, and that's going to be txt seconds left. And the thing is here that we might actually change this on how this is done, but for now this is going to be fine. Okay. So what we'll do next is we'll go back to our pawn, right, and he's got a function called start n level sequence, right, and what we can do here is create widget count down and to viewport. Right, apparently that's just had a little moment. So we'll just fill that up. We'll add a pin here, since we're keeping this tidy. We can drag this up here, join it, then drag it down again. Right. And then once we've done that, we can test out the tenths, right? And press play there. And now if we press O, well, our tenths aren't working, and that's because we didn't actually tell it to run tenths. Alright, so that should be tenths. Okay, and we're running it every tenth of a second. We could literally do this on tick and make it do it even faster, but hey, this is going to be fast enough. And what we'll do is we'll press O, and it's still not doing it. Interesting. What is this set to? guess we set it to 9, not that that should make actually any difference. Event construct, tenths, and I'm gonna do it because we need to actually update it. As I said, it's getting late here, getting tired, mistakes start getting made, and we're setting text, and it's going to be integer, and that. Then this is going to go to here, and this is also going to go straight to here. As I said, this particular thing is just for the display purposes only at the moment. Well, actually, tenth is going to be for display purposes only for the whole thing. There we go. That's looking good to me. Right? So basically, we can do exactly the same thing custom event, and we'll say seconds, and we can do basically the same thing as this, kinda. We're kinda going to do the same thing as this, but we're not. Right, so this starting time, right, we're going to change this, and it is going to be an integer, because we're just, as I said, we're using the tenths as basically, we're basically using the tenths as a dummy thing, right? And it's this one that's actually going to be linked to the countdown. Right, if it's less than 0, we do if it's less than 0, we say clear timer by function name. Right, we're going to do them both, but we've also got to set this one to 0. Right, so we delete that, we delete those, we delete that, because we're going to be updating seconds. Right, we should really rename this from starting time to seconds left, because that's really what it is, but we'll do that. As I said, I don't know if this is where I'm going to calculate it and then pass it back to the pawn or not. and we'll decide on that later. Right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to do seconds, then we're going to duplicate that again, and we're going to say tenths, right, and we're going to go to there, we're going to go to there, and then we are going to do, no, actually, all we need to do here is this, and that's going to be 0 anyway. Right, drag this up a bit, and for our tenths we're just going to set that to 0, right? So our text tenths, we're going to get that, drag it down a bit to there, damn it, drag that to there, then we're going to duplicate that, we're going to move it to there, we're going to set that in there, and then we're going to say 0. Okay, now we come back up to here and we duplicate this, right? Once we've duplicated this, we're running this in seconds, okay, and that's going to be 1. Right, then we'll save that, then we'll change our starting time to 10, and then what we'll do is our starting time, we're going to change that, as I said, to, that's going to change to seconds left, then we'll change it to 10, the default to 10 seconds, and we've set it to 10, so that's fine, right? So if we press play there, right, we go and pick up our map, not that matters for this, but anyway, there we go. Excellent. Right, now basically here we can delete this and set that to 0. Okay. Now I don't, alright, we'll do one more thing, we'll escape that, right? And what we'll do is we're going to get our seconds left, right? and it's going to be instance editable and expose on spawn, right? And then we're going to get it, and then we're basically going to do this when we set up, right? And then this should work better. Okay, drag that down a bit, drag these in line here, over there, over there, save that, press play, and if we press 0 we get the there we go. Cool. And I think on that, guys, we're going to call it for the night. So if you've enjoyed watching, or if you've watched it later, hit like and subscribe. This is a good time to stop. Friday night, I'm going to relax now. So hit like and subscribe. Check out the description for my Discord channel. And you can support also, get your name in the credits and stuff like that by joining the Patreon, or you can look at my previous game on Steam, which even adding just to your wish list would help out. And I shall see you tomorrow at 2 PM Central. Thanks for watching, and bye bye for now.